This is our third video in our series on eschatology. And if you recall, in our last video, I went over 3 different views that Christians hold with regard to the millennium, or the 1,000-year reign of Christ, which is found in Revelation chapter 20. Now in this video, I want to go more in depth into the premillennial view. Now again, the premillennial view teaches that Christ returns before the millennium, or 1,000-year reign of Christ. So when it comes to interpreting the book of Revelation, for example, they would see Revelation chapters 19 and 20 as sequential or chronological in order. So in Revelation chapter 19, we see a picture of the return of Christ at the second coming, and this leads into Revelation chapter 20, which is or depicts the millennial reign. So premillennialists would argue that this is evidence for the premillennial view, a simple, straightforward reading of Revelation from chapters 19 into 20. However, even within the premillennial camp, there are differing views. So I want to go over 2 different views of premillennialism. Now, the first view is referred to as historic or classical premillennialism, and it is referred to this way because it was a view that was held by early Christians. Now, on this view, this current age will continue. The good and evil will continue in this world until there is a future apostasy or a falling away from the faith. There will be a future tribulation with the rise of an antichrist, at the end of which Christ will return at the second coming and then usher in the millennial kingdom. The second premillennial view is known as dispensational premillennialism. Now, this view did not emerge in church history until the 19th century, or about the 1830s. However, it has become very popular, especially in American churches. Now, dispensational premillennialism is very similar to historic or classical premillennialism, with at least 2 important differences. The first one is their view of the separation of Israel and the church as 2 distinct peoples of God. And the second important difference is their view of the pre-tribulational rapture. Now, if you have read any of the Left Behind book series, which sold millions and millions of copies, this book series taught dispensational theology. So they taught a pre-tribulational rapture and a tribulation with the rise of the Antichrist. Now, if you're unfamiliar with this rapture terminology, the word rapture just means to be caught up, and it refers to the catching up of the church to meet Christ in the air. And it is described in several biblical passages, one of which is 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. So on historic or classical premillennialism, the rapture is actually post-tribulational. It occurs at the second coming of Christ. But on dispensational premillennialism, the rapture is pre-tribulational. It takes place before the 7-year tribulation, at the end of which Christ will return and then usher in the millennial kingdom. Now, hopefully these charts at the bottom are a little helpful. I know this can be confusing, but in our next 2 videos, we will be going more in depth to postmillennialism and amillennialism.